Hi, this is Doug Schneider. Welcome back to Real Hi-Fi, where today we're going to talk about speaker break-in, what it is, how long it might take, and whether it matters that much. First off, what is break-in? The definition I like has to do with the working in of parts so that they're working optimally. And if you think of a pair of shoes, they might be uncomfortable when you first get them, but you wear them for a while. They break in, the leather or whatever material softens up a bit, and they're comfortable. Now they're working optimally. So when it comes to a loudspeaker, what could possibly break in? The cabinet's sure not going to change, at least you don't want it to. The binding posts aren't going to change. Some people might argue that the electrical parts, the crossover components, could change, but I've never seen any proof that's true. But when it comes to the drive units, that's a different story. The drive units are mechanical devices, and they might have a dome or a cone that moves back and forth, and that moves the air, and that's what you hear. And behind that dome or cone is a motor and a suspension system, and that suspension system in particular, right when the driver's built, may not be working optimally. It might need some time on it to get it up to perfect condition, and that is break-in. So this breaking in of drivers is not some voodoo magic, nor is it all that mysterious. I've talked to many speaker designers as well as driver designers and manufacturers about it, and they almost universally agree that yes, drivers do need a little bit of working in so that they're running optimally. However, and this is a big however, in talking to speaker designers as well as driver designers and manufacturers, many of whom take driver break-in seriously and have measured it, when they talk about break-in, they often talk about it in the single-digit minutes or tens of minutes. That's how long it takes for it to happen. Whereas in the audiophile world, you'll hear recommendations of 100, 200, 300, sometimes 500 hours. Now think about that for a second. 500 hours. That is playing the speakers for more than 60 days for 8 hours a day. Does that seem reasonable? And if it does seem reasonable to somebody and they do believe that there are changes happening with the speaker, I would like to know what those changes are because I've never heard them. And it's not up to me to prove that claim. Rather, it's up to those people who claim that 500 hours is necessary to prove their claim. But that said, does it even seem reasonable that 500 hours is necessary to break in a pair of speakers? I'll just ask somebody this. How would a designer ever get a pair of speakers designed if it took them 500 hours or even 100 hours to break in drivers? It would take them years, if not decades, to design speakers. The fact of the matter is, I don't believe it's true. But I don't put it by the clever marketers and sellers of hi-fi gear to exploit this idea of hundreds of hours of break-in, if only to convince consumers and sometimes reviewers to hold on to that product for as long as they can so that at some magical mark, 100 hours, 200 hours, 500 hours, hell, 1,000 or 2,000 hours, it will have magically transformed itself into something they love. But the product really hasn't changed. I can't see any evidence that the product will have changed. But there is evidence that our minds will change, and there is a consensus that this hundreds of hours of break-in is simply our minds becoming conditioned to the sound of a product, and then it seems like it's sounding better, when really the product's still the same. That said, I'm not dumping on the idea of speaker break-in. It's real, I've experienced it, I believe it to be true. But what I am dumping on is the idea that you need hundreds of hours to break speakers in. That's always been a questionable claim to me. And in all the years I've been a reviewer and researched it, I've never found it to be true. So the message I want to convey to you is, what I do as a reviewer is, I never listen to nor do I measure speakers straight out of the box. The driver designers and manufacturers might say minutes or tens of minutes to break the drivers in. Just to be safe, I'll give it hours over a day or two. I'll pump some bass-heavy music through them just to make sure those big drivers are loosened up. At that point, that's about all I can do, and that would be about all you can do. Thank you for watching.